Kamala Harris was on CBS Evening News, and she is asked by Robert Costa whether in the past Democratic politicians failed to codify Roe over the past 50 years. And I mean, I want you to just stop for a moment and think about, she's not going to come out and say, yes, we failed. But think about, like, okay, you've had several months to anticipate this if the leaked brief is the case. How are you going to respond to this question? I want you as an untrained politician to come up with a response. What would it be? Well, we underestimated how fragile this was. Or we were showing deference to a court because there has never been a time in the history of this country where an individual right has been rolled back in this way. It is so shocking that they did this that, frankly, we never thought they would. And so we never anticipated the need. That's how shocking this is, right? That's what you would come up with. Because what that does is it allows you to escape responsibility. I'm just talking about pure political stage, craft. It allows you to escape responsibility, and folks can litigate whether or not they should have done it. I happen to think they should have, but I don't think it's unreasonable, in terms of timing, that they didn't expend their political capital there. But in this moment, what you want is to express that we are shocked. What the Supreme Court did was so shocking.
So beyond the pale, so extreme.
So extreme, so radical, so unprecedented that really you'd have to be some type of like clairvoyant to think this. But that's not what she said. Frankly, I can't even figure out what she said.
You don't have to abandon your faith, whatever that might be, to agree the government should not be making that decision for a woman. And so that's why I say, let women make those most intimate decisions. Let people make the most intimate decisions that are about what I call heart and home, which includes contraception, which includes same-sex marriage. Let them make that and be free to make those decisions without government interference.
When you look back, did Democrats fail, past Democratic presidents, congressional leaders, to not codify Roe v. Wade over the past 5 decades?
I think that, to be very honest with you, I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
I mean, we thought things were settled, and now, because they're not, that I believe we're living in unsettled time. I mean,
but we
honestly,
were right to do it that way in the first place. This reminds me of when those Trump spokespeople had like some trivia night in DC or whatever, and there was a fight between the Trumper and the Hillary person because of the way that Trump won. I think it was like Palmieri or something like that.
Conway, yeah.
And Kellyanne Conway. And it's like, how could you win that way? And as if like anyone's supposed to care about the way that they won.
As opposed to the fact that they won.
I just think that, like, they should be able to communicate this idea more. I mean, yes, on some level she said, like, we thought it was settled and now it wasn't. But let's be honest, like, who are you speaking to with that language? They are so afraid of being strong on this and defending the sensibilities. Militant apathy is saying she literally said what you said. It was choppy, but come on. But no, you come on. Like, this is not a high bar. The idea that this was a radical thing for them to do, because when you say we thought it was settled, as opposed to what they did was radical, you're saying we got it wrong. We were the ones who got it wrong. Like, this is, you got one job in this situation. I do not think there is much the administration can do. Maybe you have 2 jobs. One is to make it look like, well, it's all the same job. Make it look like you're doing something. Make it look like what they did was unquestionably wrong. But if you say, we got it wrong, we thought it was settled, then it's on you. Like this, if you know, even if what she's saying is
No,
at least the
communicate
dynamic.
outrage.
Yeah.
Communicate outrage. Don't just say we're in a very unsettled time. Like, if she feels best case scenario, she feels handcuffed by the fact that the Biden administration isn't doing anything. And like, okay, maybe there's not much they can do. I don't really try anything. Try everything. Try whatever you can. Abortion providers on federal lands. Talk about threaten to pack the Supreme Court.
Which is
how FDR got SCOTUS off his back. Threaten to pack the court. Do whatever you need to do. And I mean, don't care about, frankly, if you can or cannot do it. Let the court make that decision for you. Try to put abortion providers on federal lands and let them say no. And then you can say, look how extreme they are all over again.
And forget the content, too. It's just like you said, Emma, it's the delivery. Just convey that you're pissed off about this.
She is a terrible communicator. We have President Biden who is saying, repeat the line on the teleprompter. And we have, maybe it's the residual effects of her Havana syndrome, but it's somebody who cannot speak clearly about the issues. And the idea that Biden wouldn't have thought that through, or the people around him at the very least who understood that maybe it's more of a struggle for him at this point in his life, and put somebody behind him at VP who could actually communicate, it's malpractice. Any of the other people he was considering would have been better than her. She doesn't know, she's without a paddle. She has no idea what she's doing here. She doesn't say anything there.
None of the things she's learned over her time, that's why I always say, who are you? So who is she speaking to at the start of that clip? Religious people? You think they're listening to you? And that's why I always say,
well, this is a big problem with I'm convinced the reason why it was soft pedaled is because it's a function of, and the reason why it's so hard for her to communicate it, because they are trying to balance an elephant on the head of a pin, essentially. And it is useless. And while they're doing that, meanwhile, they are abandoning the people that got them there. And you don't need to believe me. You look at the polls. It's not working. Whatever they're doing is not working. The only upside is I really do think that on some level, they are being so uniquely ineffectual that in the states, the Democratic candidates, I think, will have an easier time separating themselves from them.
She's still trying to make it about some privately held religious belief. Their analysis is so outdated. I mean, are we talking about it is about patriarchy. It is about controlling women. And what they also can't say is because the Biden administration has zero interest in engaging the country on healthcare, by the way, healthcare in general. So when she's hamstrung by their own conservatism because she can't make a larger point about this isn't about privacy. They're on the battleground of privacy, which is an analysis that's 30 years out of date. We need to be talking about healthcare as a right, and that includes abortion as healthcare.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why it's so ineffectual. When you don't have a healthcare message, you can't have a women's healthcare message.
Yeah, you can't say we want to protect this right to this one specific part of health care, and just the rest of it you're on your own.
Let's go to the IMs.
I thought you could say abortion.
She didn't say abortion in that clip either. She brought up what? What did she bring up?
I didn't want to say that because I didn't know if she said it in the Fuller interview, but at least there,
But she specifically mentions, things that aren't abortion.